But all right, let's jump into this. Again, very anticipated for me. I think Cargo, not just as a career, but Cargo, how we interact with it will define the way Star Citizen works forever. Whether it's piracy or the economy and what is bought and what is sold, crafting, all of it means everything. All of it means everything to Star Citizen. So getting it right for once is going to be a big deal. And I guess this is the start of that conversation yet again, because they've been trying to get it right for a while now.
In looking at the way that our teams are structured, especially after the Montreal merger with Turbulence, we decided to combine
Turning it up a bit.
USPU as well as Montreal PU into NAPU.
NAPU stands for North American Persistent Universe.
NAPU is the regroupment of 3 different cities.
In order to kind of create a super team that gives them a lot of coding firepower as well as design firepower.
NAPU is really a collection of people from Austin, from LA, from Montreal.
We're all just getting together to try to make some amazing.
So it's LA too? Okay. I thought this was just the USPU team, which was just the Austin people. Well, I guess not, because Chad McKinney was part of the USPU team Star Citizen Live thing that they did a couple of years ago.
New features for Star Citizen PU.
So that includes physicalized cargo, in-game shops, and newer features that we're looking into, such as
That's a
exploration.
lot of people to
We're
work
working
with.
on mostly currently cargo and things regarding that. We recently finished work on the Hull C.
NAPU was formed in order to work on larger feature sets for Star Citizen, so that those features have the time and resources required to deliver them at the quality level that we want to see. NAPU includes several engineers, production, and QA.
We have 6 different programmers, actually. We have a few that are in LA, and then we have a few more in Austin.
Right now that includes James, Mitch, Kevin, myself, as well as Preston on production and Alicia in QA. Did I say everyone?
We have 2 Mathieu.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
and Emma that are here
10.
in Montreal.
Yes, I think I got them all.
11, 12. 12 people on the most important feature. Okay. I can't imagine that's a bad thing. But I think the community will turn it into a bad one. 12 people on a single feature seems like fine. I don't know what do you put 1,000 people on this? How does that work? Right? How big is EUPU? Like I don't know. It is on a feature. I think what you would want is let's say 36 people working on different features, right? So I think I don't think this is that big of a deal for one feature, right? But if we are to ever get the features done, what, 12 fucking people? Where are these 1,300 people? What are they doing? This is like the Squadron 42 thing all over again. But the thing is what happened when they had 800 people and they were doing, more PU stuff than Squadron 42 stuff? So it's like, where are these people? Are they literally counting, what are they counting as this? And what are people doing? Because we see more movement on, game studios with less people than we have with this one, right? They're counting us, the QA testers. Yeah, probably, dude. What the hell? The whole CSAT for years, these 12 people were the ones that got it out the door, so I'm cool with it. The reason the whole CSAT sat for years was because it was hard for these 12 people to figure out how to get it out the door. These people are part of 6 other teams too. Maybe. but I don't think so. I think that's what the point of this conversation is to say NAPU is focused on delivering features for the PU. EUPU is the same scenario, right? We can't shit talk this when we know that the EUPU has delivered a lot of features while supporting the current ones that they have, right? Mining, salvaging, and now we've seen it with the munching, and they're doing resource management. So while these teams might need support from other people, the EUPU's got it covered pretty well. So maybe the introduction of Montreal here will make things happen. I don't know.
So at this point, a lot of what we're working on is still in the design phase.
I would say
I just don't look at it as 12 people for one feature bad. What I look at it as is 12 people for a team that is meant to deliver big features has to be bad, right? Because it's features. And we could get more of them if we develop these teams for gameplay. It's a really rough look. Really rough look if we're not giving out features and then showing that a team of 12 is dedicated to make those features, right? How big is EUPU? So 2 teams working on features for the game? Like, what are we doing?
the technical design and planning phase, but yeah.
There's
And
a
yeah,
lot
Pakila, I
of
saw your message.
like technical design document going on, preparing the feature and all the parts. There's a lot of work in that area.
The North American Persistent Universe team are currently at the forefront of the next major evolution of cargo, hangar, and related inventory systems. And as their work begins to enter the PU...
Don't forget what type of 12 people they are. It's getting missed. Is it? I mean, they said they had programmers. They definitely, you know, who leads that team was not mentioned there, which is clearly Todd Pappy, right? Yeah, they're not artists. Exactly. It was programmers, it was QA, and did they say engineers? That's why I'm okay with 12 people, because it's 12 people actually making gameplay, right? And then, but I guess they have to reach out to artists to have some work done for whatever gameplay they're doing. So there's that. But yeah.
For the next 3 to 6 to 9 months and beyond, all building to what we hope will collectively become a true cargo career, we here at ISC, well, we didn't want to wait to begin telling the story. As much like the engineering and research.
They told it 2 years ago. Just so you guys know, they told it 2 years ago.
Resource management systems of the EUPU team, this work promises to be utterly transformative to the overall Star Citizen experience. So these next 2 shows, well, they're going to be a bit different than normal. That's because we're not going to have anything to dazzle your eyeballs with just yet. Yes, the ISC gameplay capture team, as great as they are, well, we're going to let them take a break this week as we let members of the NAPU team.
I have a lot of respect for some of the things the gameplay capture team has done, but I prefer, if we're talking about gameplay, to not do the things that they do.
Take you through the design and intention of their current work in a 2-part special we're calling Design Brief Cargo Career.
The focus of NAPU in the foreseeable future is going to include features such as freight elevators and instance hangars, as well as persistent hangars. Freight elevators are...
Which have been on the roadmap as being worked on for quite a while, no? I know recently there's like a new sprint for it on the progress tracker, so... Okay. Maybe it wasn't.
One of the biggest changes to cargo that we've seen in the entire history of the game. They bring...
You called instance hangars months ago? Wow, you're so smart when they talked about it 2 years ago. Good job, Slidewog. Good job.
The feature from being something that's somewhat
what a genius.
Magical to something that's physical. It adds friction, but also a gameplay experience around hauling
Yeah,
cargo
yeah,
in our
instanced.
game. This one addition, I think, is going to change not just cargo, but also the way that we interact with everything else in the game: inventory, player items, purchases, ship items. It's a fundamental change to how players are going to deal with the world. Freight elevators are going to be implemented as an access point inside of player hangars.
Where the player can interface with cargo to get it ready to put it on their ship.
And you'll use a kiosk
Okay. I'll better let him go.
to interact with
Sounds
the
like he's saying
freight
more.
platform in order to call things up from your inventory or to put things into your inventory. The way that the freight elevators are going to be implemented is actually using the same technology as we use for the cargo grids in the ships. Players will be using their tractor beams in order to detach things from the platform and then haul it onto their ship, and vice versa. They'll be using the
None of this, as someone who loves to move boxes, none of this sounds very fun. Like, do I have to open an elevator to get a suit of armor?
tractor
'Cause
beams
it's
in
in
order
my
to detach
inventory.
things from the cargo
You know what I
grids
mean?
and put them onto the freight platform. I think that this is going to make the whole experience feel a lot more tactile and organic, as well as there's a lot of fun and interesting gameplay around just how you stack things, how you sequence them, take a group of people, decide how you're actually going to load things together. It's like that time that you go and move
Like, I like doing that.
with a U-Haul and your friends. You got to figure out where to put the couch, but in game, it's going to be figuring out where do we take that big
Wait. This is a video game. Who the fuck likes moving? That is the worst. Yeah, that is the worst possible thing you could have said, Chad. Who the fuck likes moving, and especially the couch? Nobody likes moving the couch. So many people, instead of taking the couch with them, give the couch away for free. Because nobody likes moving the fucking couch.
box?
Holy
Where do we
shit.
put the ship items? Where do we put the guns? And try to sequence it in a way that's both optimal as well as, I think, fun.
We don't just want to have the feature, exist in a void. Really what we want to try and do is work with the whole scope of the game to support cargo. So this is something for outposts, for UG.
Yeah, like I get what he's saying too, but the analogy was so bad. It was
where
just
we want
funny to
look
make fun
at
of it.
how do we really take advantage of cargo in these spaces.
However,
Now, the other thing that remains to exist, as far as I'm aware, is cargo timers. So I should still be able to pay people to put the cargo in my ship if I don't want to do it myself.
it does mean that the outpost will also support the same manual loading process that the hangars and those other locations use.
So
How will that work? Okay, outposts. I know we have Rastar now, but are we going to have to completely redesign outposts from the ground up to supply a hangar? Like, these are the things where it's like, you guys don't play this game. You make the game. Please, I hope this trickles down to one of their desks to recognize that if outposts don't have hangars, outposts don't have any safe places to go. So unless they're talking about the big hangars, which they might be, and not the big outposts that they showed at CitizenCon last year, instead of the one that we have now, because the outposts that we have now that we're cargo hauling from do not support this system whatsoever. We're already dealing with problems with the persistency and then the armistice zone, and it's a bit of a mess, right? So hangars at outposts are a must. We talked, I did not watch this video beforehand, but I got a sense for some things through Discord, and they were talking specifically about Elite Dangerous hangars, how you land on a platform and your ship goes down and then it goes somewhere else, right? That doesn't make a lot of sense at the current outposts that we have either, because it's just they're so like mom and pop. So, I know there's plans for settlements. I know there's plans for bigger things, obviously the bigger hangars. So it's going to be very curious how this all works, because they're talking about what they know, without knowing that we don't know anything, right? So everything feels very vague and is probably going to be misunderstood from this point, simply because I don't even know what outpost you were talking about. You know what I mean? So now I'm thinking, wait. Like Jumptown? How does that work? Like Brios or whatever. Like, how does all this stuff work? It doesn't. So, yeah, it's one of those things where it is weird for them to share it early, but I am glad they did, because we get to communicate, hey, all this sounds great, but how are you going to handle these smaller outposts and cargo hauling? Because I can't walk outside with a tractor beam at an outpost right now. Right? I can't tractor beam anything at an outpost right now. So it's just kind of weird.
Not only are you participating in cargo, in a hangar, in a station, but out in the verse as well, at an outpost.
And while freight elevators will be available throughout locations in the persistent universe, much of the work involved in manually loading and unloading your vehicles will always involve your hangars, which presented the team with some unique challenges to address and overcome, starting with the next iteration of instanced hangars.
Can't you do it on pads? Yes, along with everyone else on the server. Right? That's the issue with outposts and pads, is there's no this is my box, no touchy. Right? It doesn't work. People are just going to go up to your box and take it. It makes no sense. So that's why I assume they're talking about the large hangars that we saw at CitizenCon last year. That's what I'm assuming. But I shouldn't have to assume they, and by they I mean Jared and the teams who actually do this stuff, who should be playing the game, who should know the expectation of the backer. Your job is to communicate the things to the backers. So when asking the questions, when editing the video, that thing should have been incredibly clear, and it wasn't. So now people are going to be confused. Did you mean outposts like Jumptown? Did you mean outposts like, ArcCorp 157, right? Where people are buying ore, or, Bezdek on aerial, things like that. That doesn't work, right? So that would be confusing to my audience, which I seemingly don't pay much attention to, right? So
instanced hangars solve a particular problem. How do we have people spending an extended period of time in their hangar loading cargo now that we've added these freight platforms, but also allow the locations to have traffic coming in and out of the landing zones? What we're doing here is decoupling the access to a hangar from the occupancy. And all that really means is that we can dynamically create these hangars at runtime, and they're kind of set aside for players to spend time inside of.
Without getting too much into it, right?
And this is something that I believe is in the video that I've teased a couple times now, that Chad shared all that time ago. That is something they've been talking about for a very long time. This has always been communicated as far as I'm aware. So if anybody's like, shocked Pikachu face about this, they've been pretty open about the fact that they don't want to do this. People on my Discord were like confused that we don't have that many hangar doors at the stations, even though the stations are very large. And that's because Star Citizen's an art project and not a video game.
You're going to have a personal space. We're just looking at ways that a lot more players can do this simultaneously.
We don't want to have a big choke point of everybody trying to load their ships and unload, and all trying to do that in the same space. So we have instanced hangars as a way to put you in an area where you can feel comfortable, you can take the time that you want to load or unload your cargo. And
the problem with this is I think people are thinking about two specific locations for hangars, and they're right when they're feeling a little weird about these specific locations, which would be Lagrange Point stations, or the stations above planets, and the station or the hangars at a city, right? Two of which maybe we should not. It's weird. Should we be able to purchase, like, I don't think you should be able to purchase a hangar at a Lagrange point station. I also don't think you should be able to purchase a hangar at the spaceport. So where do we go? Or rent. It doesn't matter. Like, I don't think it should become yours. I think it should. Those are, super high traffic. It would be like renting. I mean, I guess at an airport, people rent hangars at an airport. But it would be like living at an airport instead of storing your ship there. That's the part that is a little bit weird. But then where would we go, right? So that's a whole nother thing. I think at Hurston they give us some clue at this, a slight clue with the landing pads at the apartment building. So because the reason why that's weird is if my hangar moves to different locations. So say, for example, one day I go to drop off my prospector and all of its ore bags, and it's in hangar 1. And then the next day, it's in hangar 3. That's going to break immersion, right? That's going to be weird. And then there's the other factor of, let's say I was running my cargo down to my hangar on ArcCorp. One day it was in hangar 1, and one day it was in hangar 3. But on top of that, what if hangar 1 somebody was about to land into, and then, I see them go in, doors close, and then I call the ATC, and then doors open, and then all of a sudden my hangar's there. It's a bit of a weird experience that will, break that immersion of the game. So people are like kind of bothered by that. That doesn't bother me at all. None of those things bother me. The only thing that they, have to do is make it feel or seem more like an Elite Dangerous hangar where you land on a platform, go down, and move somewhere. But that would require a complete art redesign, and it's just not worth it, right? So for me, like, screw the immersion, bring the lack of restrictions to the gameplay, and let's rock and roll, because we're only going to, if we're still sitting here caring about Star Citizen, we believe that we're only going to get more players in the server, right? We're only going to get more players in the server. So, yeah. It's not like New World, because New World has like this, sure, it's immersion breaking, but New World has this thing where like you load into that instance, where the instance loads into you, so it's a little bit different, right?
Really engage in that system the way that you choose.
And so you can actually have your personal space to deal with cargo inside a hangar. And depending on your ship, there'll be different situations and different locations for that.
But the thing with this one is that when you leave, things gonna basically go away.
Once you want...
Oh, okay. Did you catch that? Did you guys catch that when you watched?
But the thing with this one is that when you leave, things gonna basically go away.
Okay, so another instance of so this is, I think, now telling us what we can expect. And this is the only thing that's sort of new, but not really at all, is it's going to be done in steps. You're going to get your instance hangar. If you leave cargo in that instance hangar, guess what? It's gone. If you leave guns in that instance hangars, it's gone. Okay, that's what I gathered from that.
Once you want to leave, you'll just make a request to ATC.
Excuse me.
And the hangar will move into place. We'll open up the doors, and you'll be able to leave. And then the same thing when landing. You make a request to ATC. The system will allocate the space for you. Open the hangar, and you can land. For the players, it will seem seamless. But underneath the hood, the system itself is going to be maintaining a representation of where all the players are, what requirements are needed, without having a bottleneck for players who are actually just trying to play the game otherwise.
Okay.
And then we have persistent hangars. Persistent hangars are...
Yeah, so the next step is persistent hangars, which does this, where you leave your stuff in it, right? So everybody who's saying, oh, they just mean it streams out. No. Yeah, when it streams out, everything that's in it gets removed. Right? So the next step would be this. And we're probably going to have it in a stepped process where the persistent side of it, and the side that is probably the coolest, is the one that's the furthest away.
Kind of an evolution of instant hangers.
I don't
And
expect
really
to see
what it
all
is,
of these
it's
in a
our
row.
first step toward.
But I do expect to see instance and freight at the same time. Because they have to be.
Towards real player ownership in the game beyond ships.
The cool thing is that you'll
Stop
be able
pausing
to
it.
put your stuff in it, come back to it.
Here's the
and
link
it's
to the
still
video.
gonna be
Go
there.
watch it.
It's just whatever the player wants to keep inside their hangar, that's their home. They can just leave them lie around. They can arrange them however they want, be it weapons or cargo or dead corpses or whatever.
Very, very long term. I have no clue of any dates or anything, but you'll be able to customize it and upgrade it so it becomes bigger. You can have bigger ships in them. And maybe at some point, even having them like at distant location, you could buy a second one. For now, it's going to really be on your own location.
So, okay, so only at your home location. So therefore, the hangar that they're showing here, which is a space station hangar, that's not the hangars that, you know, nothing of what you're seeing is what you will experience, even in the shorter term at all. And it's only going to be at your home location, which is not fun. What does everybody do after they spawn at their home location? They set a new home. They set a new home. Nobody wants to live at their home location because it takes forever to get in and out. So, CIG, give us the ability to set more home locations, maybe than just cities. That would be nice. I don't know, right? Because, yeah, people are going to want to choose Grim. People are going to want to choose the station above. You know? Or allow us to spawn in our hangar. Yeah, that would be nice, to not wake up in the hospital or whatever, but at the same time... Oh, there is typically a hospital elevator in the hangars.
Sent to you and your character. And you can invite friends to your hangar. You can load up your ship. You can take the haul from your mission, you know, out of
Yeah, this is all you could do in Star Citizen.
your ship and distribute it to your buddies. So persistence of hangars is really important.
This is going to be developed more in the future, and we're going to use the same technology that we're using to build this for other things in the game, such as player habs. And it's a real, I think, exciting way for the players to feel like they have a more permanent place in the game that they can call their own.
I can't help but notice the ISC gameplay capture team snuck some conceptual visualization in there after all. What can I say?
I can't
I love
believe
what
it.
they do. And of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't say that everything you're hearing about
I still can't believe they think that, like, it is good when it's not taken to a level that isn't, and it's often taken to a level that could be misunderstood. I mean, remember the tractor beam moving the Aurora, things like that.
today is the current intention
great.
of the design team at the time that we filmed this.
This was
Now,
all fine.
As with all things you see and hear about on any ISC, it's always a work in progress, and may, and often will, continue to evolve as development progresses and concepts are tested. Now, so far in our design brief cargo career, we've talked about how you'll move and store your boxes. So let's find out more about what happens inside those boxes going forward.
Okay. This is
With
More than
320,
new stuff,
we
I think?
introduced a new packing system that allows
everything up to this point was old news. We all knew this.
us to use a larger set of box sizes. Right now, that includes 1 SEU, 2, 4, 8, 16, 24, and 32. However, with this new version of cargo coming out subsequently, we're going to be adding the ability to have what we call inventory container boxes.
Inventory actually plays a big part of cargo as well. When you look at the sheer scope of number of boxes and, number of weapons and armor and FPS entities that we have in our game, we really want to make.
So yeah, I have to call an elevator to get my box with my armor in it to take it out. Unless there's displays. This is like, these are one of the like, hey, let's make the Starfield comparison thing and go, yeah, weapon racks, displays, helmet displays, spacesuit displays, all that stuff. When we get our own hangars, I want things to be much snappier and quicker to get to and from. I don't want to be calling an elevator and sifting through a bunch of boxes, right? Yeah, having a bunch of lockers is awesome. The calling an elevator for a 32 SCU box of flight suits is not going to be good. Having flight suits hanging out in a locker, preparing your multiple different kinds of suits you'll need for multiple different situations, that'll be a lot better.
Sure that not only is cargo physicalized, but that inventory has a proper location and place as well.
If you go to Port Tressler and you hit I, you'll bring up the player inventory screen, and you'll see that, okay, I have my access to Port Tressler inventory no matter where I am standing in the station. That's going to go away.
It's
this
convenient.
is very important because what it
okay.
means is it gives the players a way to transfer in a very clean and effective way all of the loose items that you collect during gameplay.
The cleanest way is the way they have it right now. That's the thing. The cleanest way is the way they have it right now.
A big change that's coming up is going to be having properties for those boxes. So that could be something like a box that's fragile.
So that already happens.
Or a box that could be radioactive. Or that needs to be kept cold.
This is all just made up stuff for right now.
The other thing we're looking at with cargo and cargo boxes is the ability to store large items in your cargo boxes. This could be anything from a ship weapon to even smaller vehicles like Grey Cats. That way, when you're going with your friends, you're going to do a long haul across the verse, you can have these larger boxes filled to the brim with as many ship weapons as your ship is going to carry.
Anything that
I hope they're not boxes. I hope they make unique items to attach weapons to them and be as clean as possible and easy to access and stuff. Because those long boxes putting a weapon in them would be weird. So
you think you want to take with you and hold on to, now you can put them in an inventory container box, snap them into the cargo grid, and haul it into your ship. Additionally, you'll be able to take those to the freight platforms in order to put them into your inventories. So it gives a
rest in peace move all button, by the way. Why did we ever have one?
Kind of universal way to haul things around in the game, as well as a way for players to be able to pirate player inventories now.
We could pirate player inventories now. You just blow up the ship, full box, move all, easy clap. It's just more realistic now.
That you have these goods that are locked up together in these inventory containers, it just takes a tractor beam in order to carry them off. So it gives a lot of gameplay possibilities for us to have with these loose items.
A lot of these things will tie into missions.
Listen. I like moving boxes. So all this sounds like totally fine to me, but I also understand a lot of people don't, right?
And where you decide to place them on your ship. So we're really trying to make sure with cargo, it's not just a wide system, but that we're actually adding these kind of elements to help further gameplay, missions, and purpose.
So partner with people that do what in your own hangar, bro. Like that's the only issue that I really have so far is that your inventory is a magical space. Still, you use the freight elevator to physicalize the magic, and it is very early to hear this without them showing it. And it shouldn't be this early. This is something that 2 years ago they were talking about, so we expected them to be working on it, and they never did. So that's frustrating. But the idea of, I don't know what's wrong with my throat today, so I apologize. The idea of things being better than what we currently have, nothing I've heard so far sounds simpler, better, more seamless, smooth, or easy. It sounds all very tedious and very complicated in comparison to what we had before. Do I need to call an elevator to loot a body? Like, what's going on here, right? So it seems like they might be overcomplicating a very simple system that nobody really had any issues with. But, you know, ways to store guns and ways to... It'll be better, but even a 32 SCU box isn't very big in comparison to some of the things that we would want to store. So I don't like the idea of using the current cargo boxes for everything. I think they'll have to definitely build out a lot more types of them, or I don't know. Yeah, so it's a very weird concept for now.
You guys had the week off. This is a design brief show. It's talking and it's intent, and none of this stuff is ready to show yet. Don't you want a week off?
He's like, I already get 3 weeks off a month.
Your stuff's so weird anyway. Just no weird stuff for Cargo Grid. Back to the spaceship.
We have some additional changes that we're going to be making to the cargo grids that allow them to have any sized item attached into them. At the moment, we have effectively one kinds of items that attach to the cargo grids. Those are the cargo boxes, and they all have a similar size step on the dimension. What I just mean...
What did I just see? Is that an Aurora? Oh, those are mining bags as well.
Step on the dimension.
That's cool.
What I just mean by that is
shit.
they're all what we call one SEU.
Oh, wait, it's just a visual conceptualization, so it's not even real. Oh my god, I just got duped by these fucking clowns again. I didn't even realize
on
it.
Each side. We're going to have it to where anything can attach to the cargo grid as long as it's a physical item in the game.
Okay, I mean, this is realistic then because you said anything, right? This could be a mannequin with a suit, bombs, ships. This again, this ship thing was something that was discussed probably 8 years ago, 9 years or 7 years ago. Whenever the whole C, whole D, whole E was mentioned, that you would use these to move your racing ships to racing locations and shit.
Anything that you can grab with that tractor beam that can reasonably snap into place will be able to snap into place.
Yeah,
this is a requirement
dogs,
just
okay.
to satisfy the inventory changes that we're making now that you won't have this kind of magical access. But it also, I think, broadens the horizons about what your cargo grid and all of your ships can be used for.
Store.
I think it'll also open up a lot of fun gameplay around just figuring out how to arrange all these things in a way that works well.
I mean, because that's what I envision right now with some of the things that they have is like you have a 1 SCU box or 2 SCU box. You place the gun that's filled with those guns on top of that box, and it's just organization, perfection, you know?
So yeah, that's part one of our talk about design brief.
Okay, that's
cargo
part one,
career.
which
Next
was a
week
lot of
we'll be
old
back
stuff.
with changes to vehicles and location inventory, larger cargo item support, kiosk changes, the item bank, and even unique item recovery. So come on back and get the full...
Oh, unique item recovery. I want to hear again what the plan is for next week.
Back with changes to vehicles and location inventory,
Vehicles and location inventory.
larger cargo item support, kiosk...
Larger cargo item support. Okay, so maybe what I was calling out we'll hear what they plan on doing with that instead of showing a gun sticking out of a huge ship, but still a gun that's way bigger.
changes, the item bank, and even unique
The item bank.
item recovery.
Unique item recovery is like subscriber items, I think. That's what it sounds like.
So come on back and get the full scope of things next week. And as testing and fixing continues in Alpha 320 over on the PTU, with the latest additions to Arena Commander and the Persistent Universe heading your way, you can check out the RobertSpaceIndustries.com website or launcher
I don't know
for
what item
details
bank is.
on when that releases. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. Thanks for letting us share the process of game development with you, and for indulging us in these mostly visual-free design brief shows. And we'll
This was not visual free at all.
see you all here for part 2 next week.
Okay. Is there anything at the end? Nope. So, yeah, a bunch of stuff we already knew. So nothing crazy there. I guess the new thing would be but I saw it working already, being able to attach everything, and maybe it broke, or so that was intended, I think, for new players to hear about what the intention was to be for freight elevators, persistent hangars, and so on. That is, we've always known about that, but it's been 2 years since the last time they talked about it. So part 1 is the refresher. Hopefully, it sounds like part 2 is the new stuff, but it's kind of annoying that we have to wait a week for that. But it's also understanding Jared's completely out of content, so do what you need to do, kind of thing. I get it. So I was looking forward to this week, but it sounds like what I'm really looking forward to is next week. But seeing it carry a ship is a big deal. Seeing it carry mining bags, also a pretty big deal. Now, hopefully, those items are sellable from the cargo grid, refinable from the cargo grid, and so on, right? So, yeah, I guess we'll get our freight elevators inside of refinery hangars as well, in order to send those up to the refinery, right? So no need to head all the way down to the refinery. We should probably be able to interact with it right in our hangar. And then, maybe you head down to the refinery to manage it or whatever. Maybe there's more refinery gameplay incoming. Who knows? But, yeah, I think it opens up a lot of doors. On the progress tracker, it looks like this work is actually happening. But, again, progress tracker, so what do we know? And, we don't know it until we see it. They had nothing to show. Are they holding it back for CitizenCon? It sounds like they're going into way too much detail where they're not going to be sharing this at CitizenCon. So if we have nothing to show at this point, how far away are we from freight elevators? They've teased them. They've literally teased freight elevators twice in a sneak peek. So they're there. To say that you don't have anything is really weird. I just think that they don't have anything that they're comfortable showing yet. So, yeah, this is all very confusing, and I think that would be how I describe this update. Is I'm left a little bit more confused than I was 2 years ago. That's where I'm at right now.